Transformers96 here with another video review. This time I'm going to be ranking every single Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure made by Hasbro. Now, I don't have every single one. I am missing 3, but they are 3 of the weakest. I'm missing Jubilee, and she's a normal size figure. She's actually slightly shorter than a normal size figure. And then I'm also missing Rocket Raccoon and Puck, which are 2 of the figures in the mini Build-A-Figure kind of series that they did for a few waves. So I'm missing 3 Build-A-Figures, but they are super weak Build-A-Figures, so I have no problem calling this basically just all of Hasbro's Build-A-Figures since 2012 when they first started. And yeah, let's get into it. I'm going to be ranking them all here, and let me know what you guys think of it. The ones that I am missing, though, are like the Space Knight Venom and Dormammu. I am in the process of building Space Knight Venom. I have 4 out of the 6 pieces, so I'm not done with him yet. And then Dormammu is released in the first week of October, and I have that entire series on pre-order. So I'll be getting Dormammu pretty soon, and I should be completing Space Knight Venom pretty soon. But I figured that now is a good time because then I'll have those Build-A-Figures that'll come in, and I'll be able to do an update in the near future to this video. So let's get started. I have 17 Build-A-Figures here, and I'm going to be ranking them. At last place, number 17, of course, it's going to be HitMonkey. HitMonkey is the only mini Build-A-Figure that I have from 2013, I believe, when they were doing the mini Build-A-Figure year. They did 3 of them. This is the only one that I completed, and, you know, it's pretty terrible. You know, this is the lowest part in Build-A-Figure Marvel history, I would say, where they did really small Build-A-Figures that, you know, because Build-A-Figure should be bigger than your average figure, and instead they went incredibly tiny. They're even smaller than 3 3/4 inch figures. The only upside to these was that you only had to buy 3 figures to build them. However, that's 3 too many in my book. So this was a really bad Build-A-Figure, and definitely the low part in Build-A-Figure history. At number 16, where you could say the list actually starts if you don't count HitMonkey, it's going to be Mandroid. This is a Build-A-Figure that I did not have fun building. The figures in his wave were pretty good, actually. I enjoyed buying most of them. However, the end result, being the Build-A-Figure, was really disappointing. Not only was this split up into 2 separate waves, so you had to build him over a very long period of time, but then the end result just kind of is very blah. It reuses a lot of its parts from in a past Build-A-Figure, being Monger, and those parts are nice, but just I could care less about the character. It's a droid that works for S.H.I.E.L.D. I do like villains, and you know, 90% of Build-A-Figures are the villains, which I do enjoy a lot. The head, you can't even like move it. It's so hard to move. This is definitely my least favorite actual sized, you know, Build-A-Figure. In 15th place, we have Ultron. This Ultron figure was incredibly disappointing. Not only were the preview images of it quite misleading, showing it in a much different paint job, as well as a few different parts to make him look more like the Ultimate Ultron, but what we got instead was an Ultron Prime on an articulated body that was hindered in you know, a few areas like the thighs with terrible paint. This is where this guy absolutely falls short. His paint is awful. In some areas he has a nice silver, and then in others he has splotches of gray, and then get this, I'm gonna swing him around here, he is just not painted on the back. He's just a solid gray, like plastic gray color. This was the probably laziest attempt at a Build-A-Figure on this list. The only reason that I marked it more than Mandroid is because I just really could care less about Mandroid. This at least is an interesting character, you know, and it's a movie villain, which I like and everything, but it was just executed so poorly that it gets a really low number on this list. At number 14, we have Onslaught. This is a Build-A-Figure that I personally don't really like. I'm not 100% sure what the consensus is, if a lot of people agree with me or not, but it's just one that I personally never gravitated towards. I like the character is quite neat, and I do like, the articulation on it's pretty nice, and the way it's proportioned is good. I really don't like the paint. It's very bright, very shiny, looks very much like a cartoon character. The piece on the back just pegs in very lightly, and it kind of sticks out from the back, which I don't like, as well as the biggest complaint I have about this guy is you need 7 figures to build him, which I think is too many, and then you also have to wait to buy an 8th figure to get the proper head for him. We had to wait several months after this guy was released before we could even finish it, basically, which I really dislike a lot, so this definitely deserves a low spot on this list. And at 13th place, we have Odin. This is also the wave where you could have built the King Thor. I chose to go with Odin, though. This is a Build-A-Figure that I kind of have mixed feelings about. It's good in some areas, and it's just kind of a little lackluster in others. One thing I do like about it is even though he comes with a cape and a big scepter and everything, you only needed to buy 5 figures to build him, which I do like. That's less than the average 6. So that is quite nice, and probably the reason that it got higher than Onslaught on this list, to be honest. I do like the paint and the armor and everything. The only thing that I dislike about it is it's lackluster in the fact that it's the size of a normal, a figure, basically. The Thor that came in his wave was bigger than the Build-A-Figure, which I definitely didn't like. That was something that was really quite off-putting. Had his entire wave just been filled with normal-sized figures, maybe, I wouldn't have felt that way, but having somebody in his wave that was bigger than the actual Build-A-Figure was incredibly disappointing. This is a good figure, although very limited on the elbows. However, this is a good figure, but it's just, it's not as super great as far as Build-A-Figure quality goes. I would like to build King Thor. At the moment, the only things I need are his legs, and I'll be able to build him too, so I'm sure eventually in the future I will be able to build King Thor to go along with this Odin, but at the moment I only have Odin. 12th place goes to the movie Giant Man figure. So this figure has some areas where I do like it quite a bit and some areas where I dislike it quite a bit as well. This is the tallest Build-A-Figure on this wave, however it's not quite the biggest Build-A-Figure. He's tall but quite thin. I think that he's nicely proportioned. Obviously he's not in scale with the Marvel Legends figures, which is unfortunate. Obviously I don't expect them to make one that's in scale, but maybe going an extra 3 inches or so just to give it just that much more difference in height I think would have been quite worth it. The detailing on the costume is really nice. I love the texture in the red areas, but the issues I have with it personally are that he doesn't stand quite well. When you have him standing up where his feet are pointed at you, the knees are then pointed towards each other, which I just think is an awful design. I don't know why the knees weren't lined up with the feet, and that's probably the biggest issue I have. There's also quite a big gap in the shoulder area, which I dislike quite a bit as well. So this Build-A-Figure is quite nice in some areas, but in some other areas it really fails on a functional standpoint, and it just makes him look awkward and definitely not one that I really love. At 11th place, we have the Ultimate Green Goblin. This is quite a nice Build-A-Figure. I actually like it quite a bit. I think the texturing is wonderful. Love the hand designs. The flame accessories that he comes with are great, and the head sculpt is very cool. The only thing that, I dislike about it is the fact that it is mainly a repaint of the Hulk that came out just a few months before for the first Avengers movie. The only difference is being new head, new hands and feet, and then some extra sculpted pieces on the arms. So, there was a bit more effort put into it, which is quite nice, and the body sculpt, albeit that it's just a repaint, it does fit the character quite well. So this was quite a nice Build-A-Figure. Definitely not my favorite, but definitely deserving a pretty decent spot on this list. At 10th place, we have Terror-X, which is the first of the Hasbro Build-A-Figures. This Build-A-Figure is quite good. It's not super big. It's just about the size of a large Marvel Legends figure, and then you do get a large accessory with it. So he qualifies as, a Build-A-Figure size, I'd say, but definitely on the lower side, on the lower end. But the figure is quite nice. It has good articulation, and it was a good starting point for the series, and it also set the tone of the Build-A-Figure, being that it's more of an obscure villains, basically, I would say. There are, of course, some heroes that they do Build-A-Figures for, but for the most part they do villains, and a lot of times they do, kind of unique villains as well. So I do like that quite a bit. This was a nice Build-A-Figure, nothing to go crazy over, but definitely a good way to start. At 9th place, we have Absorbing Man. Absorbing Man is a pretty nice Build-A-Figure. He's not super massive, again, just like Terror-X. He's just about the size of a very large Marvel Legends figure. But what makes him unique and special, and what makes him rank a decent, height on this list, is the fact that he comes with so many interchangeable parts, which I think is great, and it really allows the character to express his powers, which I definitely like a lot, considering the figure could have easily been pretty plain. Sometimes like what they do with the Sandman figures, they don't allow him to express his powers fully, but this figure really allows Absorbing Man to express his powers, coming with 2 extra interchangeable arms, one that's regular and then one that's metal, and then an extra face sculpt. Now that face sculpt, the eyes aren't painted very well. I don't like it actually all that much. However, the figure itself is quite nice. I do like it quite a bit. My major complaint with it is the fact that the texturing in the paint seems to wear off at the joint on the elbow. It's a big issue, and I truly hate it. If that was not the case, though, this would probably rank a little bit higher than it did. But this is overall a nice Build-A-Figure, and his wave itself is a fantastic wave, so this was kind of just the cherry on top of the wave. At 8th place, we have Thanos. This Build-A-Figure, I would have to say, was a bit disappointing. For Thanos, you know, such a great character, with a great-looking head sculpt like that, I was really expecting quite a lot from this Build-A-Figure, and when I got it, it just turned out to be, you know, pretty disappointing. He's not as big as I think he should be. I think he should be a bit bigger. His little piece of armor at the shoulders pops off quite easily, which is very annoying, and it makes him hard to pose in some areas. And then I just don't like the costume design that they went with. They went with one of his more modern costumes. I would have really loved a classic-looking Thanos. Had they did a classic-looking Thanos, this would definitely be ranking higher. But instead, they went with a rather obscure costume, which looks alright, but I'm not a big fan of it. I like the dark, glossy blue. I think that looks quite nice, but it's just not a costume that I like. And then, you know, I would have loved to see a classic Thanos with, like, the Infinity Gauntlet hand. That would have been amazing. But instead, we got this, which was just not what I wanted, basically. And the 7th spot goes to Arlim Zola. I do have both the regular and the variant Red Skull version. This was a Build-A-Figure I don't think many people are going to like, you know, because of its size. However, I personally really like it a lot. I think it was a great Build-A-Figure. This is the second one that Hasbro did, and I enjoyed it a ton. I really like the character that they chose to do. You know, he's quite a unique character, but still it's one that I kind of gravitated towards, and I definitely like it quite a bit. Love the fact that you have a really nice artwork on the chest for both of the figures, and the articulation was quite good, especially at the wrist, the great wrist articulation, and I love the hands that they went with. Obviously one to hold his accessory, and then one opened one that just looks awesome, really works nicely for poses, and this was just an awesome Build-A-Figure. I liked it a ton, and that's why I bought the pieces to build the variant as well. This is definitely, you know, it's one of those Build-A-Figures I don't think many people are going to like, because it's really quite a small Build-A-Figure. This is the smallest Build-A-Figure other than the mini Build-A-Figure series that they did. So unfortunately this is quite a small one. However, the figures themselves I personally really enjoyed, so I am putting them fairly high on this list. At 6th place, we have Rhino. This is an interesting case for me because as far as the figure goes from a technical standpoint, it's really nice. It has great articulation, it has excellent sculpting work as well as paint, but for some reason, I don't enjoy it a ton. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because I have the select version, so I have something very similar to it, so this one didn't feel special, but for some reason, I never did much with this Build-A-Figure. You know, after I built it, he kind of went on the shelf, and I was happy to have him and everything, but that was kind of it. And it really didn't make sense to me, especially since I really love Spider-Man villains. So this should have been right up my alley, and from a figure standpoint, it's great. But it just really never connected with me for some reason. I am putting it fairly high on this list because I recognize how good of a figure it is, and I love the fact that it comes with interchangeable heads, even though you don't have to buy any extra figures to get that interchangeable head. So it's a great Build-A-Figure. It's just one that I didn't connect with, and my only guess is because I have the select version, which is similar as far as how good it is, basically. So maybe that's the reason, but for some reason, didn't love this Build-A-Figure, but it was nice to get, and I do recognize that it is a good figure. 5th place goes to the Juggernaut. This was a recent Build-A-Figure, and one that I really did enjoy. It's quite big. It's definitely not the biggest Build-A-Figure that they've done, but I would say that it's probably the second biggest Build-A-Figure, to be honest. Not height-wise, but just size in general. The figure is quite nice, though. Definitely hits, you know, Marvel Legends standard when it comes to articulation. The paint doesn't have a whole lot of detailing on the paint, but I think that it works well, because it does have areas with good detail on the paint, where it's basically the metal areas and the belt. So I think that that kind of gives him a comic book look, which I do like quite a bit. There's some great sculpting on the boots, and then he's well weighted too, which I really do enjoy. The fact that you can put him in running poses extremely easily. It's not a hassle to do so. The only thing that I'm not a huge fan of is I think that the helmet is a little bit too rounded, and I would have liked a bit more, a bit improved articulation on the neck. However, it's obviously a very odd-shaped head, so it's not Hasbro's fault that it doesn't have the best articulation, but I would have personally liked a little bit better, but that is me nitpicking. So, in general, I think that this is quite a nice Build-A-Figure. Fourth place goes to Abomination. Now, I know I am cheating here a bit. I don't actually have the official Abomination Build-A-Figure. I do plan to get it, however, I'm going to get most of those figures on a sale. Since I have this one, I don't need to buy them at full price, so I do eventually plan to get the official Abomination Build-A-Figure, but for now, I have the repaint of it, which was part of the Comic-Con exclusive Raft box set. So it's the exact same figure, the only difference is the paint, and it's a different skin tone, basically. So it's so similar that I did want to include it in this countdown, even though it's not the official Build-A-Figure. And I do plan to get the official Build-A-Figure eventually. This Build-A-Figure I like quite a bit. I think that the sculpting is amazing, and the paintwork is great, really just about the quality of Rhino, which I love so much. I love the expression on the hands there. The articulation is really quite great, and I love the expression and character. I do love Abomination, so this was a great Build-A-Figure. He's a nice size too. He's not massive, but he's pretty big and bulky. You definitely feel like you're getting a Build-A-Figure with this guy, and I do enjoy him quite a bit. He ticks all the boxes and is a great figure in general, and a character that I personally really enjoy. Now we're at the big leagues, the top 3 figures. So in bronze place, basically, we have Groot. Groot is a Build-A-Figure that I really do enjoy. He's not massive. He is quite tall. He's probably the second tallest Build-A-Figure, other than Giant Man. But he is quite thin, so he's definitely not a big Build-A-Figure if you're comparing his mass with everybody else. But what I do love about him is the sculpt. I think that the sculpt is breathtaking. Really love it. There's a ton of amazing detail, and the detail isn't just in a few places. The detail runs throughout the entire figure, and then the face sculpt, the expression that they did, and the way that they painted the eyes and just the face looks perfect. I really think that it's quite perfection. I have no issues with it, and I think it looks amazing. Articulation is also great as well. Really hits the Marvel Legends standard, which I do love quite a bit. And he was the perfect Build-A-Figure for the Guardians of the Galaxy wave, and he just completed the wave so nicely, and I truly love this one. I don't know if many people will agree with me on how high I put him on this list. However, just personally, I really love this Build-A-Figure, and I enjoyed him definitely a ton, which is why he gets such a high spot on this list. The second spot goes to Monger. So this was the Build-A-Figure that took us out of the Dark Ages. This was the first actual good-sized Build-A-Figure after the mini Build-A-Figures. This came out in 2013 in the Iron Man 3 wave. Really, when I saw that Ironmonger was the Build-A-Figure, I went crazy. I love Ironmonger, so to have him as a Build-A-Figure was just excellent, and the figure did not disappoint. The sculpt is great. Really do love it. A lot of these pieces were reused in the Mandroid, and I did give the Mandroid such a low rating. However, they're good pieces. They really are. It's just the Mandroid that didn't utilize them properly, and it's just a crappy character, basically. But this one really is fantastic. I love the design of it. He has a very comic book look to him, and I love the paint. First of all, the eye mask, I really love the way that it's red at the very middle, and then it kind of fades into a black. I think it looks wonderful. And then the blue paint is spectacular. It would have been so easy for them just to give this guy a plain blue wash, but they went way over and above, giving him this metallic, pearlescent, bluish sheen, glossiness. I don't even know what you call this thing. It changes shades of blue throughout the entire figure. It's a ton of fun to look at. It's a character I love, and it's a great figure and a nice size Build-A-Figure. It is really fantastic. I absolutely love this Build-A-Figure. However, there's one Build-A-Figure that I like even more. And in first place, we have the Avengers Age of Ultron Hulkbuster Build-A-Figure. This Build-A-Figure is my favorite by a long shot. And if you just watched what I said about Monger, that is probably going to be pretty surprising. I love this Build-A-Figure so much so that this would be a top contender for my favorite just regular figure of all time, to be quite honest. You know, not 6-scale or anything like that. I absolutely love this thing. He is by far the biggest Build-A-Figure, although Giant Man is taller than him. He's the bulkiest by far, and he's extremely tall as well. This guy is absolutely amazing. One thing, you know, I expected him to be big, but I didn't expect him to be this big, and when I got it out of the package, it was so surprising to see just how heavy he is, and it just took me, I really was not expecting much from this figure. I thought that it would be smaller, and I thought that it would be all hollow, and I didn't expect it to be well articulated. I thought it was going to be extremely hindered in articulation. Not only was it big and heavy, but it had excellent articulation. This guy probably has the best articulation of all of these Build-A-Figures, with an amazing head and torso articulation that's just absolutely crazy, and he also has excellent thigh, knees, and ankles. He has single hinges at the elbows. That's the only place where I don't see him excel in his articulation, but other than that, he just excels, and I love his size and bulk, and he's just a ton of fun to mess around with. I like him so much that Hasbro.com is at the moment doing a sale on a lot of their Marvel Legends figures, one of those sales being on this Hulkbuster wave, and I rebought every single figure for, like, they were on sale for $7 a piece. So basically I have a second Hulkbuster Build-A-Figure coming, just because I love this figure so much that if it ever broke I would be devastated. So this way I have a second one, so I never have to worry about him breaking or anything like that ever again. That just shows you how much I truly love this figure. The only drawback to the figure is that his wave is very disappointing in my opinion. I think that he has the one, if not the weakest wave of Marvel Legends since Hasbro has been making them. But this is just a countdown on the Build-A-Figures, and this is truly the best Build-A-Figure in my opinion. I would highly recommend this one over any of the others, and I would highly recommend this wave just for the Build-A-Figure, even though the figures themselves are incredibly disappointing. Yeah. So there's my countdown ranking every single Build-A-Figure Hasbro has made -3, and I would say they're 3 of the weakest. So this is the majority of all the ones that Hasbro has made, not Toy Biz. So this is really fun to do. It's one that I wanted to do for quite a while. Hasbro has made some really nice Build-A-Figures. They've also made some rather disappointing ones. However, I think that they're on a good track, and I am quite excited to finish Space Knight Venom as well as Get Dormammu, and then we have like Warlock coming up. That looks like a really fascinating one. One of the weakest Build-A-Figures ever seems to be on the horizon though. The Build-A-Figure that comes in the Guardians of the Galaxy, the second wave of them, of those figures, that looks like an incredibly weak Build-A-Figure. It might be the first Build-A-Figure I skip in years, to be quite honest. But excellent. This was very fun to do. I think that I'll do some more in the future. I think that from now on, at the end of each year, I'll rank all the Build-A-Figures that I built in that year, and then maybe after doing that for a little bit, then I'll do an update when I have like maybe 25 Build-A-Figures, and then rank them all with those new figures in with them. So let me know if you guys ever want to see an update. That'll definitely help my decision making of when to do them, and let me know your guys' ranking for the Build-A-Figures, or just if you don't want to go through that many, just what is your all-time favorite Build-A-Figure. I would love to know. Thanks so much for watching, and let me know what you guys think of my ranking.